Thank you for inviting me to join you. My name is Meg Rynderman. Before I begin, I need to explain that words are very important to me. I think deeply about what I want to say, about the message I want to impart whenever I tell the story of my cancer journey. I write it down, and if you'll bear with me, I'll share my words with you. I told my story for the first time at the launch of the Australian Cancer Survivorship Centre at Peter MacCallum in 2010. I commented that friends had told me I was so lucky that Hodgkin's was the best cancer to have, lucky that radiation was so much better than chemo. Mine has been a cancer journey spanning more than 25 years, starting with a diagnosis of Hodgkin lymphoma, followed with increasing severity by 2 recurrences and a breast cancer diagnosis requiring a double mastectomy and reconstruction, and recently a recognition of something anecdotally referred to as breast implant illness. Tests, biopsies, scans, aggressive mantle radiotherapy, high-dose chemotherapy, apheresis, stem cell transplant, hormone therapy and surgery, each of them promoting a kaleidoscope of reactions and side effects, often requiring hospitalisation. My companions, a formidable array of chemical compounds with intimidating names, usually accompanied by gloved, gowned and bespectacled attendants. Today, I'm well and cancer-free. Invariably, a lingering headache, persistent rash or any ailment not easily diagnosed will lead to a regimen of cautious testing with unspoken concern around recurrence or secondaries. Ongoing side effects and late effects are things that are skated over, never considered in the immediacy of diagnoses, treatments and surgeries. A mental scan of my body today, though, would reveal weariness as a constant companion, menopause for the 3rd time with all of its attendant side effects, vaginal dryness making intimacy painful, nightly violent cramps in my feet and calves, peripheral neuropathy and post-mastectomy discomfort. I experience loss of breath walking up hills. Esophageal scar tissue often causes violent coughing, and morning showers taking longer to warm bones and ease my body's stiffness. All of this covers the physical and doesn't take into account the emotional and psychological. My libido has virtually disappeared, and the strain that places on my partner and I is marked. I live much more in the moment, take each day as it comes, make the most of it, and don't project too far into the future. I'm more self-contained and comfortable in my own space. Most of this is related to my various cancers and their side effects. Some, though, I'm sure, due to the fact that I'm now 70 and feeling my age. I'm vigilant with my screening checks, and I'm sun smart. I'm aware of and listen to my body. I use yoga breathing to help me when I walk up hills. I go to Pilates, walk regularly, eat healthy food, and when I remember, meditate or do my relaxation exercises. That's my new normal, and I'll take it any day rather than the alternative. My husband and I ran a family business. Staff and deadlines needed attention. He held it together, supporting both me and our children, wiping my fevered brow, as he referred to it, fielding the phone calls and often intrusive inquiries, covering for me when I was too sick to be at work. His life has changed along with mine. Not only has he supported me through my lengthy journey, but has also been impacted by my treatments and side effects, my changes, both physical and psychological, all the while quietly worried about those unmentionable what-ifs, concerned if I'm pale or tired, or wince when I stand up or move. Over the years, people have directed their concerned questions about me to him. Rarely has anyone asked how he is feeling or whether he might need some support. His life has changed in equal measure. My 3 children, now parents themselves, were so young when it all began. The impact on every aspect of their lives has been enormous. They've shared with me their unconditional love and support, ensuring through the laughter and the tears, through the minutiae and normality of everyday life, that I was able to maintain a sense of perspective. They helped me not to be overwhelmed, but to retain a constant focus on what was important in my life. Each time, family and friends stepped in with care and assistance. How lucky I was. These days, my best medicine is to spend an afternoon with one of my beautiful grandchildren, whose kisses and cuddles ease away anything that ails me. I spend a great deal of my time in a voluntary capacity as the consumer representative of the Australian Cancer Survivorship Centre, as a patient advocate, and as a volunteer for the Cancer Council's Peer Support Cancer Connect program. In order to put a face to cancer survivorship, I tell my story often as a tool to inform, to educate, and give hope. Doctors, nurses, technicians, students, and others now have a fuller understanding of what life is like post-diagnosis and treatment. From my own experience, and anecdotally from conversations with other cancer patients and survivors, I'm conscious of the giant capital C that is seared onto one's forehead as soon as the words, "I'm afraid you have cancer," are uttered. From that moment, you're no longer Meg or Steve or Joan. You become a generic. You become the cancer patient. For everyone around you, it's as if the rest of your life fades into the background, all of its elements dwarfed by this massive thing that's happening to you. And in many instances, that's how we, the cancer patients, are viewed by those who deal with us professionally. Their focus is on treating and dealing with that oversized C. So perhaps sometimes it's easy to forget that we're whole human beings with lives, families, jobs, interests, problems that now live concurrently with our cancer diagnosis. During treatment and at its conclusion, we have to deal with and return to these lives and their attendant complications. A simple, "How are you today?" or "What else is happening in your life?" would often suffice. Attention is needed, a listening perspective adopted to learn what are the stresses and complications of each patient's life and direct them to the supportive care that they need, to support them not just through the acute phases of diagnosis and treatment, but also to follow them home and support them where necessary for the remainder of their lives. At Peter MacCallum, the term survivor is used to describe all cancer patients from the point of diagnosis. Each individual cancer journey and survivorship is unique. Not everyone diagnosed with cancer relates to the word survivor. We all have differing responses to that moment of discovery, that initial diagnosis, to our testing and treatment, our support network, our recovery, our survivorship. But there are aspects that we all share and which we recognise and acknowledge in others. The hesitant yet triumphant walk to the front gate and later to the corner of the street. The meal no longer accompanied by the metallic taste of chemo. The milestone, the special birthday, being present to walk a child down the aisle or hold a brand new grandchild. The moment of return to school, to study, to work. The stumbling conversation with work colleagues and friends who don't quite have the words. The realisation that new normal has implications in all aspects of our lives. The way we look, the way our bodies function or don't. The changes, both physical and psychological. the way our memory can be triggered by a sound, a smell, a scene in a movie or a play. Many of us are inspired by a need to give back, to help others in some way. We live very much in the moment, an accompanying whisper in the back of our minds before annual checkups or the investigation of a new symptom. We're conscious of the concern of our family and friends, their fear around the what-ifs. But for each of us, the thing that defines survivorship is the simple fact of waking up each morning to embark on the journey that is the new day. I often use the word lucky with a sense of irony and not a little sarcasm when I refer to my own cancer experiences. Lucky to have gone to the well so many times. Lucky to have suffered the side effects and late effects. Lucky to still be here? Absolutely. I've reflected often on that luck and thought about how privileged and lucky I truly am. I've thought about the hundreds of patients I met in my time coordinating the Wellbeing Centre at Peter Mac and the thousands I'll never meet. These survivors and the many others I've actually encountered each struggle with their own particular issues. Often they're not so lucky. English may not be their first language. They may be overawed by the hospital or by their treating team. They may lack education and be unable to understand the complex terminology surrounding cancer. There may be no word in their own language to describe what's happening to them. Their treatment may be complicated by the huge distances they have to travel. Work issues and financial difficulties may compound their concerns around diagnosis and treatment. Worry about who will look after their children, their pets, their business may fill their waking hours. The fear of their cancer coming back may be overwhelming. They may not have a regular GP. They may have no support network of their own and slip through the gaps of supportive care if it's available. And this is where I become passionate. This is my particular soapbox and the focus of the advocacy in which I'm involved. Cancer is still regarded as a one-off incident rather than a chronic disease. Distress thermometers, needs assessments, and the other tools of supportive care assess how patients are travelling. Survivorship care plans, peer support, helplines, and a plethora of information are becoming available. And there's currently an emphasis to relieve the load on the hospital system with patient-centred shared care and telehealth. These need to be valued and funded to assist patients throughout their lives. Survivors' voices need to champion all these measures, agitating too for the creation of seamless communication between the cancer hospitals and GPs. All of this will ensure that survivors feel their progress is being monitored and managed efficiently with concern and empathy. It feels timely to tell you my story in a time of lockdowns resulting from COVID-19. During this time, our lives have been circumspect and contained, our interactions conducted on screens. Our healthcare professionals have become nimble and offered their patients innovative solutions with telehealth, home treatment and shared care. I'm reminded of the patience required, the slowdown imposed by treatments and their side effects, the remoteness of transplant, the isolation necessary when immune compromised, the understanding that for me, taking one test, one diagnosis at a time was what was required to compartmentalise the enormity of that thing called cancer. UCCC 2020 places each of you into a unique position to effect change, to smooth the rollercoaster ride of cancer survivorship. I am indeed lucky to have been given the opportunity to find my voice as a survivor, hopefully to use that voice to assist other survivors find theirs and help to change the system to make their ride on the roller coaster a smoother one than mine has been. Thank you.